So in a given month, I'll use between 250 kilowatt hours and 290 kilowatt hours of electricity, which is quite a lot. That's like a two-person household. Over the past couple of years, I've been optimizing the YouTube process to be as high quality as possible, but not as efficient as possible. So, the setup that I have over here, it's really awesome. It's really efficient, but it's not efficient in terms of power draw. I really like lighting my videos and doing my best to light the videos. Over the past couple of months, that's been a little bit less, but these video lights, they suck about 300 watts of power. And then of course we also have the other side of the YouTube channel, which is the fabrication side, right? The CNC machines, the 3D printers, the laser engraving machines and the laser cutters. And so essentially I moved into this larger space a little while back to grow the YouTube channel. My old apartment was getting way too small. But then as I moved in here, I also grew the costs of running the YouTube channel. Now I actually quite enjoy doing sponsored content. It allows me to get my hands on products that normally I wouldn't really be able to get my hands on. But I wouldn't want the channel to be reliant on sponsored content to keep it running. And so I tried to isolate myself as much as possible from that scenario, which kind of brings us to the sponsor of this video, which is Jackery. Jackery provided the SolarVault 3 Pro, which is their latest home battery system, which makes it super easy to actually install solar power, even if you rent an apartment. Now, I'm not in the most ideal situation. I live in a city center, but I do have this little roof which connects to the shed. And in this video, I'd like to put some solar panels on that and connect a home battery system to it. So this is a plug and play setup, which means that you just order the battery system, you plug it in, and you're essentially ready to go. So the first package we're unboxing over here is the main head unit. It has the plug that goes into the wall, and then also the plugs that allow the solar panels to be connected. This is basically the unit that also has all of the smart features in there. You're essentially collecting all of the solar production during the daytime and then discharging it into the household when you actually need it, which is often in the evening hours. The nice thing about these battery systems is that you can stack them, so you have extra battery modules that can increase the capacity from 2.5 kilowatt hours to 15 kilowatt hours. Now, on a good day where I use a lot of electricity in my household, I film a lot of stuff, I use about 12 kilowatt hours. In this case, we're using one extra battery module, which means that we have about 5 kilowatt hours of electricity available to us. That's pretty decent because during the daytime, most of the solar production will provide power to the battery. And then in the evening hours, we can use those 5 kilowatt hours. Now, the build quality on these units is really great as well. They're made completely out of metal. And you can actually put wheels on this as well, which can be very useful if you put it in a garage and you need to move it around from time to time just to vacuum, for example. So with that, you can stack the units. Before you can stack the top component though, you do need to unscrew this bottom plate, which protects it from any water damage if anything were to pop up underneath this battery. So keep that in mind. Once you have this unit stacked though, they look really good. Like you could just keep them indoors if you don't have an outdoor scenario in place. It's very neatly designed. And in terms of noise, these should be passively cooled, so there's no fan noise or anything like that. The top component over there is basically a giant heatsink. This supports up to 4,000 watts of solar input, so that's quite a decent amount. At the front of the unit, we have this really nice screen with the power on and Wi-Fi button over here, and this just indicates what the battery percentage is and how much power is coming in via the solar panels and how much power is being outputted to the house. It's pretty useful if you don't have access to the app. So at the side over here, we have a couple different ports. We have the antenna for the Wi-Fi connection. We also have an Ethernet port, which allows us to connect it to the network in a more stable manner, I believe. This is the port that will connect the socket to. And then we have an AC outlet. And this AC outlet can actually double as an input as well. So if you connect a microinverter to that, then it actually charges the battery as well. Now, as with most home battery systems, it comes with its own little ecosystem. So you have smart power plugs and also P1 smart meters, which can be really useful because you just connect them to the P1 port on the meter box essentially. And then that way it provides more accurate data to the battery to allow it to decide if it wants to discharge and how much it needs to discharge to just counter the electricity being used in the household. So there's actually 3 different variants. We have the S3 Pro, which is the version I'm checking out. We have the S3 Pro Max and the S3 Pro Max AC. So the Pro Max AC doesn't come with the solar panel inputs at the side over here. That means it's mostly useful for dynamic electricity plans. So it charges the battery when prices are low and discharges the battery when prices are high. The benefit of the Pro Max is that it provides 2500 watts of output instead of the 1200 watts that my unit does. Now I'm going for the easy installation over here and plugging this power plug into the wall, letting that transfer all of the power into the household. That also limits it by regulation to 800 watts. So going for the Pro Max in my scenario isn't really beneficial. And that's also really what this system is about. It's just super easy to install. You don't need any certified electricians to come past and do all the wiring for you. You just get the battery system. It's safe, it has a bunch of protection features in there. Plug it into the wall, plug some solar panels in there, and all of the AI smart features do the rest. Now, of course, in my scenario, I also want to put some solar panels on that little roof over there so that we can run the wiring into the shed and put the battery system in there. The nice thing about the shed is that it has a power plug which connects to the household, and in that way it's not necessarily in the house, but it's safe and, locked away. Now, because the system is marketed towards unideal situations like apartment complexes where you only have a balcony, Jackery also provides really unique solar panels like these flexible ones which are quite decent in size, and these would be really awesome to place on top of a car, for example, as well, or an RV, or maybe if you have a sailboat you could put these on there as well. And I'm going for quite a crude installation over here. I'm basically just laying them on top of this little rooftop, drilling some holes in there and attaching some bolts, and this is just to keep them from blowing off or getting stolen. Some other stuff that came to mind when I was installing this stuff though is if there's any kind of turbines that can be connected to a battery system like this. It would be really cool to see Jackery make a turbine like that, especially if you live on a larger farm, for example, and you don't have neighbors that can be bothered by the noise. It could be a very viable method of collecting electricity. Now, because I do actually rent the apartment, I don't want to do too many permanent modifications, so I'm essentially just moving this grill sideways a little bit. I measured the gap over there, and I took the CAD software so that we can 3D print a little component which allows the cables to go inside, but keeps the rain out. So if you're enjoying the video so far, then definitely consider leaving a like, leaving a comment, subscribing to the channel, really helps me out. And if you're interested in any of the designs that I make, then you can also check out my Patreon page. I upload pretty much everything I make over there. So I 3D printed that little component in carbon fiber reinforced PLA. It should last a decent amount of time outside, and I just put the cables through that. Now, because the shed sometimes gets a little bit overflown with stuff, I want to make sure that the S3 Pro is safe, and I'd like to build a little box around it, so when I chuck stuff in there it doesn't damage the battery. So what I did this time around was 3D scan the device with my iPhone. It has a 3D scanner app and it has LiDAR technology built in, and this just allows us to import that into the CAD software, get an accurate representation of the size of this device. So once we have that design set up, I laser cut the top and bottom panel on the Atom Stack Glacier. Really awesome laser cutter, we'll be checking it out in more detail later down the line again. Now in this case we're actually mounting it a little bit off the ground so that we can still use the bottom segment of the shed for something different. The Jackery system comes with this really unique app as well, so we just connected them to the solar panels. And you can see how much the solar panels are actually producing each individually. So you can see PV1, PV2. That just allows you to keep an eye on the system, see if it doesn't exceed the maximum range. And it also indicates how much is going to the household and how much is being stored on the battery. You can also see throughout the day how much solar production has netted you. So in the app here you can set up the mode as well. I have it on self-consumption, which prioritizes pushing electricity into my grid. We have the AI smart mode over here as well, which works best if you have a P1 smart meter. That way it has enough data to work on. Then we have the custom mode if you want to set it up to discharge at specific times. That could be really useful. And then here you also have the tariff mode. I think this is most useful if you get the battery pack without the solar panel inputs. So I've only had the system connected for a couple of days now, but I can already see quite a lot of improvements in my electricity costs. So this day was 2.1 kilowatt hours, 4 kilowatt hours, and this was a day where I was doing quite a lot of laser cutting actually. Then we have 7 kilowatt hours. This was another really heavy day in terms of 3D printing and laser cutting. And then 6, and you can see that as soon as we switch over to the 19th, that was when I didn't have the system connected, and it immediately jumps up to 16 kilowatt hours. So in general, I'm really chuffed with this system. It was super easy to set up and it's super easy to maintain as well. If you have an apartment and you don't necessarily want to adjust the apartment's meter box and that kind of stuff, this just becomes a really easy solution to install solar power. But also for a more permanent setup, it's very usable. Special thanks to Jackery for sending this over, and I'll leave some links in the description down below if you want to check it out. I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully see you in the next one.